Hello and welcome to the Regulation Asia Awards for Excellence 2020 video series. I'm Elliott Gotkine. Now, back in December, I hosted the awards and there were a number of firms recognized, but the very first one I got to present was for compliance automation. And in this category, a Swiss regtech called Apiax was recognized for its ability to make compliance faster, more efficient, and less labor intensive. Well, I'm delighted to now be joined by one of the company's co-founders, Ralf Huber, as well as Yvonne Ngai, the company's APAC lead. Ralf, Yvonne, great to see you both. How's it going?
Hi, Elliot. Thanks for having us.
Hey, Elliot. Thanks for having us.
Great to see you. So, Ralf, I'll start with you. I understand that since we last spoke, Apiax has conducted a weighty cross-border report on the key challenges facing financial institutions. What did you find?
Yeah, we actually find two major challenges. One of them, I think a very actual topic, is COVID related. So it's about the challenge of the new way how most financial institutions meet clients, right? Not in physical meetings anymore, but through video conferences, and related to that, the respective regulatory challenges. And then there's one other major challenge, right? And that's something I would say ongoing for many, many years. And that's the complexity of understanding the regulatory requirements. So for client-facing employees, it is still in 2021 very difficult to understand a specific regulatory restriction.
Right. And Yvonne, did you kind of find similar challenges also facing Asian firms?
Yeah, Hong Kong and Singapore are the largest cross-border financial centers in the world after Switzerland. So both Hong Kong and Singapore financial centers also attract clients from all over the world. So when we were working with a global universal bank, with a strong client base in Singapore, we definitely saw some similar issues that they face when it comes to serving clients in multiple countries, right? So one of them was what Ralf was saying, that compliance knowledge was not simply easy accessible by the client-facing employees, and also that the regulatory restrictions were not integrated into their processes. Yeah. So Apix will help them to improve the cross-border framework, by transforming all this text document into digital rules.
Okay. I want to talk a little bit about wealth management now, Ralf, because this usually happens on an international, meaning cross-border basis. What kind of regulatory restrictions do institutions encounter when doing cross-border business?
Yeah, I think those restrictions, right, they come from two sides mainly. And one side is a very obvious one, right? It's the respective country laws and regulations. So if you conduct business in a country, every country has its respective financial markets regulations, and that restricts a wealth manager from doing business there. And giving you one example, concrete one, let's say I'm based in Frankfurt, Germany as a bank, and I want to talk to my client based in Singapore. So it might be very relevant whether this is an existing client, whether it's a prospect, whether it's an accredited investor, very country-specific things which might be completely different in another country. So that's one aspect, right? Understanding the restrictions in every jurisdiction. But then there comes another element into play, and this is the regulators, because nowadays, most of the main regulators in the financial centers, they expect from financial institutions to have a respective cross-border framework, right? So a framework to exactly manage these country-specific regulations, because obviously the regulator, they don't want that their financial institutions that they do not comply with the country-specific laws. So it's on the one hand the country laws and regulations, and it's on the other hand the regulators implying those requirements.
Right. And Yvonne, what's your take?
I guess it's the same, right? This is not only applied to Switzerland anymore. I guess most of the Asian regulators require their banks to have some form of framework in place to monitor the international business activities of their client advisors.
Okay. Well, why don't we talk a bit now about the Apiax solution for which you won your award? How can Apiax help clients to manage these requirements more efficiently? Ralf?
Yes, we do that basically for three types of audiences in a financial institutions. And first and foremost, right, it's the client-facing employees, let's say the client advisors working for a wealth manager that suffer often most today, right, because they are actually faced by those 50-page compliance policies they have to comply with. So what we do for them is provide very easy access and to provide them with binary answers, really yes and no answers, what they can do and where they can do it. So that's one area. The other area is the legal and compliance teams. For them, we provide them with a tool to manage the regulatory restrictions in this binary format, right? That must be digital, and you need a tool for doing that, and this is exactly what we do. And then the last area, the last audience is basically IT, because IT needs to consume, to use all those restrictions and integrate them into a process, into a system, core banking application, portfolio management tool, the wealth management firm might already have. So that's the third audience, right? Which is actually using the rules and then applying it into an organization's own system.
Right. And I'm wondering if perhaps the interest you're seeing in your solution is reflective of a broader shift that we're seeing in the market. Yvonne, perhaps looking ahead, what trends are you seeing emerging in this market?
Okay, so based on the survey that we did very recently, so we've asked decision makers in more than 40 financial institutions what are their priorities for their digitization of the cross-border compliance framework. So 31% of the respondents are prioritizing the machine-readable rules integration into their workflow and making the compliance knowledge more available for their client-facing employees. This is a clear move away from manual processes to smart and efficient tools which can provide a simple way of compiling with all global regulations. And for example, the Wealth Management Connect scheme for the Greater Bay Area, we have seen how regulations are constantly changing when doing cross-border business or cross-boundary business. So because of these ever-changing regulations, companies need to move from a very manual update on specific regulations into solutions that automatically reflect all the regulatory changes in the entire organization processes.
Ralf, anything to add?
Yes, I mean, with the complexity that is out there today, I think it's very, very difficult for an organization to really manage this without having a digital solution in place. So I think in our understanding, that's really the only way to deal with those regulatory complexities in an efficient way.
Okay. Now, COVID, of course, has been quite the catalyst when it comes to the adoption of digital tools. How has that played into growth at Apiax to date? And what can we expect in the years to come? Ralf?
Yes, I mean, it was for the industry in general and probably for all industries, right, a pretty difficult year, challenging year. But interestingly enough, at Apiax, we had actually the biggest growth since the foundation of our company. So we are now a company with more than 60 employees spread across Zurich, Lisbon, London, and now also Singapore. So we're absolutely convinced and we fully believe that we're on track to provide a very simple compliance management tool. And we're absolutely convinced we can do that with our amazing team.
And so the growth kind of post-COVID, you expect the growth that you've seen during these past 12 months will continue in a similar vein?
I absolutely believe so, right? Because we actually see that already right now that firms are already, but they have become even more digital, more used to using video conferencing tools and other digital solutions. So it's kind of a natural way to apply this digitization now also to the legal and compliance space, which for pretty long time was more, let's say, of a traditional lawyer focused area, and this is changing rapidly now.
Right, and I guess the growth that you've seen over the past 12 months kind of partly informs what your plans are for the future. Yvonne, what are your plans for Asia for the foreseeable future?
Well, we see some considerable similarities in the wealth management industry in both Singapore and Switzerland. So some of our major clients are also operating in Singapore, so there is a lot of opportunities. And we are also expanding our team in Singapore, so there'll be good growth in APAC.
Great. Well, we'll certainly keep an eye out on Apiax's growth and developments over the next 12 months and perhaps see if you win another award at next year's Regulation Asia Awards for Excellence. But I'm afraid we are out of time. So I really just want to thank both of you for joining me today. Ralf Huber, co-founder of Apiax, and Yvonne Ngai, Apiax lead for APAC. Thanks again, and wish you both well and the rest of your team well for 2021.
Thanks a lot, Elliott.
Thank you.